Hello, this is Manish Patel from ichimokutrade.com. Today is June 17, 2012. It's our weekly Ichimoku analysis for the global markets where we cover all the different world exchanges from the US to Europe to Asia and even to South America and Canada. Okay, so what we're going to first do is basically go for a normal disclaimer. This is state this is for education use only. All charts you're going to see are for education purposes. If you decide to take any trade, you're doing that at your own risk. All charts you're going to see today are from Thinkorswim, from TD Ameritrade, and also eSignal. Here are my contact details. Here at info@eicapital.com. You can reach us in any of our global offices or emails, which are listed here. You could also go to ichimokutrade.com to get more information on our heat map, email, phone alerts, free videos on Ichimoku, and so forth. So let's go, and first we're going to take a look at all the global markets, especially with all the Greece elections coming on. It's very critical to kind of see exactly what's going on right now. If you look here, this is basically the DAX right now. Remember, the left-hand side is the daily time frame, right-hand side is basically weekly. Let me zoom in here on the weekly sum to kind of give you a better picture. If you look here, basically as far as the DAX is concerned, we hit a major resistance level right now, which is 62.5305. That's a major resistance level as far as the DAX is concerned. So that's going to be critical to see what we do there. If we break that, then we're going to enter a major pullback as far as the daily is concerned. And really, the weekly is not really doing anything. It's just in one big consolidation pattern. But you're basically going to enter a major pullback. The trend will still be bearish, but we'll enter a major pullback. If we hold that level and start to go down, we do have the ability to sit there and come all the way down here and retest this pivot low, and do have the ability to sit there and go lower. Unfortunately for the German DAX, if it breaks this 59.1879 level, it does have the ability to go all the way down to about 54,000, moving down. So this level here, where we're going to retest all this all the way down to here. So if it breaks that level, it does have the ability to go all the way down there. So be careful as far as the DAX is concerned. Okay, where are we? Here, Paris. Let's go look at Paris, which is the CAC market. If you look here, really this hasn't hold here at all. It's just basically consolidating. So this trend is kind of weakening more and more and more. However, the weekly is set up for bearish trade right now. All it has to do is start going down. If it breaks this 2900 level, it definitely is going to sit there and go to 2700 level, and does have the ability to tank even further. So we're at a very critical level as far as Paris is concerned. Major support resistance right now is going to be basically around 3262 moving forward. That's Germany. Sorry, that was Paris. Here's the UK. UK is bearish trending on the daily time frame, as majority of all the other world indexes. Remember, a lot of the world indexes last year were basically bearish on the daily, and we basically got to a major support level as far as the daily and weekly were concerned. So looks like we were going to bounce off those levels, and then the key thing is when we go up, what's going to happen. So we kind of gone up here as far as the UK market, the FTSE is concerned. We got to basically about 55.26 level, and then bounced off there. We do have the ability to keep on going higher. Major resistance level is going to be 5600, and support level, believe it or not, is going to be 5376. So we're basically ranging between those levels, and we've got to see which way it's going to break in order for us to confirm the market trend. Amsterdam, really nothing going on here. Basically bearish trend still on the daily time frame. Kind of has a little blips here and there to about 300 level, but kind of holding here at the 300 level. This thing is set up to a bearish trend. It's got to just sit there and break down. If it sits there and bounces off this 300 level, comes all the way back to 280, and then breaks at 280, this thing's going to break downwards and sit there and at least retest this low here at 260, and we'll have the momentum, believe it or not, to break that lower. So this is set up to go lower, but we got to break the next support resistances in order to see exactly which way it's going to go. Spain, Interesting one here. Bearish trending here very heavily on both the daily and weekly. We're basically in a major pullback as far as daily is concerned, and a medium as far as the weekly is concerned. Major resistance level is going to be here right at 7,500. So that's going to be a key level for the Spain market to hold it in order to keep the trend to go downwards. If it wants to sit there and start going higher, it's got to break that 7,500 level. If it does, then it does have a potential going higher. Italy here is kind of flirting around right here, still at the major support level, which we kind of drew here at, what is this, 13,230 level. So we're just kind of hanging around at that level right now, nothing really going on. In order for this bearish trend to stop and it stop completely, it's got to break 15,000 and get above that value very soon. Nordic. Here, the bearish trending still on the daily time frame, and it's consolidating basically here on the weekly time frame. Major resistance level is going to be basically 945 moving forward. Oslo, here bearish trending as far as daily is concerned, consolidating here on the weekly, so nothing really going on there. Switzerland, remember, Switzerland and Turkey were very strong last week. If you look here, it's still very strong. It's held this major support level here, which is basically 57.25. It held that level right now. It's on its way basically to 6,000. If it breaks 6,000, watch it, because this can sit there and go back to 6,400, and we'll have the potential of breaking this pivot high here on a long-term basis. So this is going to be interesting to see exactly what happens with Switzerland over a long-term period. The daily is basically a bearish trend, but it's undergauging a major pullback right now. Russia. Basically, if you look at Russia, it's bearish trending on both the time frames. We hit a major support level at 1,200. It looks like we're trying to bounce off there. Major resistance level, it's got to sit there and hold. It's going to be 1,400. If it holds a 1,400, then we do have the ability to sit there and go lower to 1,200 and possibly break it. If it doesn't, it's got to go above that 1,400, break 1,500. If it breaks 1,500, then basically double bottom will be confirmed moving forward. Israel. Again, it's just like Russia, basically retesting lows right now. We're right at the major support, right around 420. It's going to be interesting to see exactly what happens there. Major resistance level is going to be 470 for the market. Turkey. This is just like Switzerland, been holding as far as the weekly is concerned. The major support level there is going to be basically 33.50 that it's been holding. Major resistance level that it's got to sit there and break is going to be basically 25.50 moving forward. If it breaks there, then it can sit there and retest the highs up 3,700 plus, and then possibly go higher. South Africa, as far as weekly is concerned, it's still bullish trending. It's at a major resistance level right now. It's got to break. If it breaks that, then it can sit there and go higher. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens on that one. Let's go over to Asia. Let's actually start from China this time, work up from top to bottom. So here's China. If you look here in the daily and weekly, nothing really going on. We're just pretty much retesting the bottom of this range here, which is 23.69. It's got to hold here. If it doesn't, it's going to sit there and break down to 2,200, and we'll have the momentum go lower. So you got to wait and see what happens. But the Chinese market is set up to go lower because it's making lower highs, and the lows are pretty much just sitting there flat, nothing really going on, but this does have the ability to keep on going lower. Let's go to Hong Kong. Hong Kong does not look as ugly as the Chinese market. However, it's starting to set up for a bearish trade right now. If it sits there and holds, and if it's going for, it's at a minor resistance level right now. The major one's going to be roughly right about here, about 19,821. If it holds there and then break 18,000, this thing is going to retest low and does have a potential of tanking down lower. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with the Hong Kong moving forward. Korea, just like it's setting up for a bearish trade. Major resistance level is going to be basically about 252. If it's got to hold there and then sit there and break 235. If it breaks 235, then it does have a potential going lower. Japan. Here, basically, it's bearish trending on the daily. Weekly, we basically bounced off the major support level right there, 18,237, and it looks like we're trying to pull up. Major resistance level is going to be basically 9,200. If we hold there, then this basically does have a potential going lower and to retest the lows. Tokyo, nothing really going on. Again, this is another one of those instruments basically where we retested the lows on the daily, the weekly. And we do have a potential going higher, but nothing really going on right now. 760 is basically going to be its major resistance level, and 705 is basically going to be its major support level. Let's go to Singapore. Singapore, again, this is at a major support level, which is basically 45.49. Major resistance level is going to be 4,900. It depends on what happens. Whichever one it breaks, it's going to sit there and basically go that way. But we're ranging between those two values right now. My guess is if this goes down lower to 49.49, sorry, 45.49, it's going to sit there and start a bearish trend to the downside long term. So that's going to be interesting to see what happens moving forward. Malaysia was the strongest of all the other global markets as far as Asia was concerned. And if you look at it on a weekly time frame, it's still very strong. All it has to do is break above 1600. If it does, it's going to start a trend to the bullish side on the long term, which will be interesting to see. So definitely Malaysia is very strong compared to any other country out there right now. And lastly, Australia. This is setting up for a bearish trade. If it breaks down 4,000, this thing will sit there, retest lows all the way down to 37.50, and we'll have a potential of going down lower. So keep an eye on that one too. Okay. And then you got India market, Nifty. Nothing really going on. We got to the top of the cloud. We're basically ranging as far as the Nifty is concerned. I think the Sensex is going to be pretty much the same, and it is. So we're just basically ranging. We're basically almost halfway. We're at the halfway mark as far as the range is concerned. So we do have a potential of tanking from this point, but it's going to be interesting to see exactly what happens here. It did have a chance to break down here, but never did, and retest the lows. So it's going to be interesting to see exactly what happens here. But if you just shrink this down, you can see it's basically just ranging and really doing nothing at all. Ever since we had the high here where we got above 20, it got all the way to 21,000. It really hasn't done anything at all. So it's pretty much just gone sideways. Let's go over to North America. Let's go to Canada. Let's go look at the TSX. TSX really doing nothing at all. Pretty much hit a major support level, 11,226. Bounced off there. It's going to a major resistance level, which is going to be 11,750. If it breaks there, then bounces off there, it doesn't have the ability to go back and retest this low. If it breaks above there, this basically is going to be a double bottom moving forward. So we got to wait till we get to that level and see exactly what's going to happen. Mexico is still bullish over here as far as the weekly is concerned, and really just consolidating right now where nothing's really going on with this. If it breaks below 36,800, this thing does have the ability to go to about 35,000. If it breaks above 38,500, then it does have the ability to go retest the highs. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens on that one. Brazil. Nothing really going on as far as Brazil is concerned. It's trying to set up for a bearish trade right now, but its major resistance level is going to be 58,000. Major support level is going to be basically 52,482. So it's going to break one way or another on those. Colombia, on the weekly time frame, it's slowly trickling down, It's at a major resistance level right now of 13,507. If it holds there and it keeps on going down, it does have the ability to get to the next support level, which is going to be basically 12,000. If it breaks above this level, then this bearish trend that's been slowly trickling down can pretty much end, and you got to sit there and get above 14,000. If it does, then we can sit there and have the ability to retest the high as far as the Colombian market's concerned. Santiago, Chile. Nothing really going on there. It's in the cloud on the weekly, so nothing really going on there. We just gotta wait and see what happens on that one. And then lastly, as far as this is concerned, Argentina, we're at a major support level right now. Key things, what's going to happen here? If it breaks down below this level at 2200, then we're going to have a trend to the downside, which would be interesting to see. It's got to break about 2600 to end that possibility of a bearish trend right now. So those are basically all the markets except the US. So let's come over to the US and let's pull up the Nasdaq. And then if you look at Nasdaq, remember the daily is basically the weekly, the daily is on the left hand side. On the right hand side is basically the weekly time frame. You can see we bounced off a major support here, which is 2462. We're at a minor resistance level right now, which is 2593. If we break that 2593 as far as the weekly is concerned, we do have the ability to sit there and go retest the highs at 2800 and even go past it. The question is how much time is going to happen. But we are at a major crossroads right now where this market has to sit there and go above 2593. If it does and close above that value by next Friday, then we do have the potential of the Nasdaq going higher for the summer to retest the highs at 2800. Next, basically, that was strong was Dow Futures. If you look at Dow Futures, we're getting to a major resistance level, which is right here at 12,813. It's got to basically get above that value. If it does, then we're going to sit there and go retest the highs of 13,365. Really, the daily is really doing nothing at all. You had a bearish trend here. It didn't really go for long and then came back up. If you shrink this down, you can kind of see this is just basically consolidating. So nothing really going on as far as daily is concerned. And next is basically ES mini futures. Same thing, it's basically Dow Futures, nothing really going on here. Major resistance level for this guy right now is basically here at 1365. It's got to get past that level, and basically major support is basically going to be here at 1341. So that's a big range for basically the summer months right now to see exactly what's going to happen. But you know, it's going to be interesting to see what happens, but nothing really going on the charts. You can see the dailies and weeklies are basically in conflict right now as far as any of these markets are concerned. So no real opportunities right now, no new opportunities, let's say that. If you're in the trends, you're in that. As far as the Russell 2000 is concerned, nothing really going on right now. It's at a major resistance level too at 778, and then basically support level is going to be basically right around 728 moving forward. That's it for this week. I hope you enjoyed it. I will speak to you next week. Here are my contact details. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to email us. Thank you.